I'm just happy I can
Hello,
talk to all of you
everyone.
about tits.
And we're broken. That was a record time.
All right, everyone,
breaking.
we're gonna take a break. No, just kidding. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Therosian Odyssey, Tides of Volition. Where are we at now? Episode 8. I can't believe that we're already at episode 8. That's an absolute madness to me. But we are here and ready to continue with our ancient Greek-inspired voyage out into the sea, into the Siren Sea. I'm going to go around real quick while I remember who I am and get everyone to introduce themselves, just your name, who you're playing, a little bit how you're feeling today, how tired you are on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's go around. Let's start with Jen.
Jesus, hi.
So that's a 10 out of 10 for the tiredness. Got it.
In my defense, I was in the middle of a message. Hi, friends.
Sorry.
I am Jen. I can be found on Twitter at JenBurb. I will be playing your friendly local half-elven wizard Estrella, who apparently, what was it? Something about learning what an actual storm is? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember that. I don't recall. Don't swear at me. Storm will get worse.
Is that a promise?
Jen, knock it off.
All right, everyone. We're all in that kind of mood today. Let's go with Joan next. Hey, Joan.
Ah.
I just realized you had stuff in your mouth.
Hi. It's that kind of morning. I woke up more than 5 minutes before call time, so I'm all kinds of loopy. And I'm Joan, and I play Onyx, and Onyx has the exact opposite personality of the personality that I am exhibiting this morning. So we'll see how that goes.
Great. Well, the exact personality I'm exhibiting this morning. All right, so let's go with Kumi next.
Hello, I'm Kumi, and I'm going to be playing Kalyuka, the Barbarian, tonight. Today, oh God, the time zones. But yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm tired. I'm pretty tired, but I'm also excited for any table. So random encounter table, very, very excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so great. You're gonna love it. With that promise in mind, Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay. I am playing your friendly neighborhood Kenku Ranger / rogue / thing in the shadows. On a scale of 1 to tired, I am exhausted. So we're going to bring that in at a 9.5 out of 10. It's my own fault. I stayed up too late watching anime, so like it's a me problem. I did it to myself. No one else is to blame. But I'm gonna try and make it through the day. I mean, it's 10 o'clock for me, so like I don't have an excuse. It's not 6 a.m. like the rest of you. I stayed up too late watching anime.
Listen, in this circle of tired friends, okay, we accept all forms of tiredness, be it self-inflicted, be it anxiety-induced, early start, whatever it is, there's no judgment here. We're just like a circle, like a therapy circle going around like, hey, I'm Kat and I'm tired.
Therapeutic dice rolling.
Let's move on to our last but not least, my favorite Triton cleric, Lulu.
Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm also very tired because I am a little late to the game, but I have finally discovered Stardew Valley, and I was up way too late playing that, and it is really early here. Callista, I don't think, is nearly as tired. She is really excited to try out her new found, what she thinks is pickpocketing skills, so we'll see how that goes. I think she might, try to go around and try that out, but she's not tired.
Of our
Lulu,
shit.
however,
I feel like we really have to admire Callista's perseverance with this. Like the
I love the
positivity.
dedication.
Every single time she's tried, it's been like a bad roll.
I love that
I
the
feel
dice
like-
are doing that too.
Honestly,
I feel like
shout out to
Callista. Go ahead.
shout out to Suri for giving her a target that wouldn't get mad at her.
Yeah. Sorry, was like, we're gonna need some practice. I'm gonna have to set you on one of your friends.
I also feel like Callista's like, once she finally does get good at pickpocketing, mostly she's gonna use it to hide little presents on her friends.
That's really cute. Oh my god.
100%.
It's like you read my mind or something, Joan.
It's really cute. Oh my god.
This is definitely what Callista wants to learn this for. It's like, Suri's going to go through all this trouble, and then it's going to be like, that's it, you're a master. And then, like, it's just like, I'm not actually going to steal anything.
And Suri's like, the fuck did I go to all that trouble for?
All right, well, I guess it's my turn. On a scale of 1 to tired, I would rate myself roughly around absolutely exhausted. Mostly because I have, a variety of reasons, but I'm moving house in 3 days, everyone, and this is exceptionally exciting for me, but also very stressful. And I've got a lot going on in my brain, so this could affect the way that I speak in the session. If I just suddenly shut off, it's probably because my brain's like, hey, did you order that thing? And I'm like, oh god, not now. just come back to me in an hour.
Oh god, it's the moving anxiety. It's great.
Yeah. I'm just gonna in the middle of a character dialogue be like, fridge, freezer, or something like. But
That's
anyway,
really
we'll see how we get on. All right, well, I think I've said everything that I need to say at the beginning. I'm sure I'll be corrected soon if I haven't, but welcome everyone. Very excited to start the session. So just to give everyone a brief catch up, last episode previously on Therosian Odyssey Season 2, you all learnt that a strange magical bird has been following your ship. Sort of looks very colourful, very parrot-like, and it belongs to someone by the name of Captain Piper, a legendary pirate talked about in many a ghost story, known for sailing the Dakra Isles in their mighty ship, the Boneheart. Still my favourite thing. When I came up with that name, I was like, and they're basically famous for kind of hunting down travelers that are attempting to brave the Dakra Isles or have found themselves lost within the Dakra Isles, and kind of hunting them down for sport and just sort of annihilating them, really. That's their MO. And so what you did learn there is that this behavior of this parrot appearing and kind of watching from afar and not really doing much is not really cohesive with your captain's experience with this particular threat. Normally it's very much if you see that parrot, you are as good as dead and you better get ready to run and hope for the best. But this hasn't really happened. Nothing has materialized from this. They just seem to be watching. And this leads you to believe that perhaps there is something bigger going on here, maybe a little bit more sinister than you had originally anticipated. Thanks to Callista, you also learn a little bit more about the movements of the enemies that you seek, and the island on which Lady Helene resides. It is a jutting rock fortress, both beautiful and terrifying in the way that it is so difficult to get to. The rocks around it, Cascade told you, the rocks around it are known to just be completely deadly. It's almost impenetrable. And she called it, I don't think I actually mentioned it in the session, but I'll tell you now, she called it Carapaya. That's what she said the name of the island is. So I just see people just writing that down. And yeah, so you spent a small amount of time with your fellow crewmates, learn a little bit more about them and from them. Some of them spent some time trying to learn a little bit more about you, and some of you even began to touch upon learning a bit more about each other. After an intense couple of skirmishes, though, it has been quiet. You may all, if you haven't yet, take a long rest. It has been 1 or 2 days since our last session, and you have sighted land not too long ago, and Cascade informed you that you are kind of now infringing into the Dakra Isles area, and so that land that you have sighted and kind of sailing past is one of the isles. And she immediately kind of set about taking notes and trying to identify which set of islands that you have shifted into and are being welcomed by, because as you all learned last session, the Dakra Isles, they're a little trickier. They don't like to stay in place, and they like to just move around and mull themselves up. And every single time Cascade has kind of sailed in this area, things have moved around, and her kind of life goal, as it is to try to figure out the pattern, figure out the logic behind it, and figure out a map, a shifting map with sort of these rings where she can track and understand how the Dakra Isles work and be able to predict them. And she's having very little luck so far identifying exactly where she is. She doesn't immediately recognize it. The islands, they're sort of quite small as you're kind of sailing past them. They're not like a big island. It's just these sort of small pockets of land kind of jutting up, and they've not really got much in the way of identifying features. So she's not really finding herself able to figure out exactly what you're infringing upon. Beyond this, there has been very little activity, save for some clinging mists, which you kind of knew about the Dakra Isles. They're known to be very misty. It's part of the mystery of them. Ha ha ha. Don't look at me like that, Jen. And these mists are known to, when the isles kind of shift around, they're known to get thicker, and then when they kind of subside again, suddenly everything is different. But you kind of feel these clinging mists, and you've kind of just heard these sort of very distant rumbles of thunder, but other than that, there hasn't really been a whole lot. So what I guess I wanted to ask is, I mean, if anyone had anything burning, then feel free to speak up, but it's been a couple of days now just kind of sailing through this area, and Cascade has been busy. What do you think that you have all been doing over this last couple of days to amuse yourselves? Because I can imagine that being on a ship is kind of boring, I'll be honest, when there's nothing going on. I see your hand up, Jen, so go for it.
You're gonna have to forgive me because I am also not awake today. Did we ever go over results of looking over the map with Cascade and trying to find a pattern?
Not properly.
Okay.
I feel like when you went through it with her, you learned a lot about the way that the Isles work, and she has essentially, I mean, it's just really a working theory at this point. Like, she's so caught up on this idea of, like, there must be, because of characters such as Captain Piper, and this oracle that she briefly mentioned,
there has to be a pattern. There has to be some sort of predictability.
Their name is Phineas, she's told you. And she kind of tells you about this. He's known, he just sort of travels around the islands, He's very eccentric, but friendly. He's posed no threat, and has often helped her, actually. And the couple of encounters that she's had with him, he seems to know his way around the islands on a level that he shouldn't, unless there was some kind of pattern or predictability. But she then kind of sort of posits, but then he is an oracle, so maybe he is receiving some help with his predictions. She mentioned about him that he is a what she calls a godless oracle. So he has these abilities, these visions, but he has not. He seems to, when he speaks about them, he seems to almost speak for all of the deities. He doesn't kind of align himself with one particular one, and he seems to be a little bit of a law unto himself. She also mentioned that he has a very strange method of transportation, but she's actually not willing to tell you what it is. She's like, if we run across him, I want you to see it. But
oh my god, he's a fucking traveler.
It's better just to see it. That's kind of just her thing. She's like, I don't want to spoil the surprise.
He's the traveler. All right, we're gonna go see the traveler. Let's go.
And yeah, so you've learned a lot about that, and she said, Captain Piper is the same. Of course, he's a ghost story, and there's something about him which suggests that perhaps he is no longer living in the conventional sense, but he knows his way around the islands in a way that makes little sense. So again, she's built up this running theory, but her whole thing is that when she travels out here, she just feels like every time she begins to think she understands a pattern, something new happens that she wasn't expecting, and she's back at square one again. Whenever she sees Phineas, he's very he seems to enjoy the fact that she's trying to do this, and he might say the odd very riddlesome comment to try to help her, but it's actually not at all helpful because it's just so wrapped up in obscure references that she just doesn't understand, that she just finds it even more frustrating. She's like, can you just tell me the formula, please? And he's just like,
what fun would that be?
Like she said, she basically has told you about a couple of times where she said to him, she's like, I gave him this theory, I completely laid it out as to why it's this and all of this, and he just kind of looked at her and went, nope. And then
my god,
that's it, that's all he's given her. So she feels encouraged that she's on the right lines, because she feels like he would have just said no, they're completely unpredictable if they were, but he's having a lot of fun teasing her about the fact that she's getting it completely wrong.
Amazing. So over the last couple of days, we've just been kind of like doing our thing, and we've had some time to kind of look at the maps. And has there been a pattern that I've been able to discern, or a pattern within a pattern? I really doubt that there's going to be. I don't know how detailed you have this planned out. But the general idea is she's going to look for just a pattern, but if there's not one, she's going to start patterning the patterns.
So, let's
see. Now there's a puzzle, and she's very interested.
All I'm gonna say is I will remind you that I'm the law mistress. Okay, so
yeah.
But then I will also remind you that I've been rolling on random encounter tables. So the plan is that there is no plan, or is there? Who knows? I guess it's for me to know and you to find out. In terms of patterning the patterns within the patterns of the patterns.
Don't forget the patterns, or the patterns.
I feel like you would have really looked at it and essentially have drawn a lot of the similar conclusions that Cascade has. She will tell you in pretty good detail about some of the voyages that she's taken there, the kind of things that she encountered. She will briefly reference, just to give you some interest really, that she's encountered islands that seem to have great affinity and with chaos and with the Nyx. And she would say, you know, there was this large island we got off, and there was the magic there was so unstable and so unpredictable. Things were just firing off and doing their own thing, almost like it's like the magic was kind of wild, you know, like wild magic, like just doing its own stuff. That they didn't stay there long because every time they took a step, something was happening. So they were like, okay, this is a scary place. So there's places like that. They've encountered a place where an island where everything is overly grown and very large. And there's some strange beasts roaming around there. They said she tells you that she briefly felt like there was a sort of long stretch where there was like no islands as such, and she thought she had sailed out the other side at one point. And then she did see an island very far in the distance. They were about to start going towards it, and then the island kind of just lowered itself into the sea, and she watched as this large tentacle kind of sprung up out of the sea before withdrawing, and she went, no, I think I'll just leave that one be, actually. So this has kind of been her. She hasn't really dedicated herself to going and exploring the islands too hard. She tends to find that they're mostly dangerous, mostly unpredictable, and she has sailed past once and seen in the distance this one island that Lady Helene, you have now discovered, is supposedly currently residing on, and you have also discovered that Ulysses is definitely there.
The go away isle.
The fortress number 2, bigger and better, upgraded fortress in the middle of the ocean,
where all of the group enemy number 39s go to die.
Yes, group enemy number 39, villager number 39, they're all there. What she will have told you about that island in particular is not a lot of the Dakra Isles seem inhabited. There is one that's quite famous that I think all of you would know of, really, because it's a quite famous myth. But it's said to be inhabited by a little bit like Arasta, you know, the legendary large spider that you briefly touched upon that myth before. This is another very famous myth, and in the Dakra Isles is said to live Hythonia, who is supposedly sort of affiliated with Faraka, and is a lady that has many snakes for hair. And she is also said to be she tells you, I've not ever come across Hythonia's island before, but I mean that would be something to see. But also she's very like, I sort of don't want to go there. Sounds dangerous. But she does tell you that not many of the islands are inhabited. One or two of them are. She's had one where she encountered one lady that was living there. Bit odd. Didn't really talk much with her, but she seemed to live on that island by herself. Seemed to be very into pig farming. Oh my God. Then there was another one that there was kind of just like a sort of, it was a small village almost, and they didn't even know, they'd never heard of the Therosian gods, and they were quite distrustful, so she didn't stay there long, but they allowed her to pick up some supplies and did some trading with her. Yes.
Does it count as pig farming if they're not pigs?
Well, they seem to be pigs, so I guess it doesn't really matter, does it?
It's true.
So what she will say about this fortress island is that she noticed it looked inhabited. It was almost like it was sort of a poly of its own, like a city of its own, just on this. It's just this huge fortress, very similar to Akros, but like the Akros of the sea, as it were. Typical. It's just sort of dumped in the middle of the ocean. But there seems to be lots of people living there. Certainly didn't look like the residency of only one person.
Horrific. I love it.
Not horrific. So many friendly faces to welcome you when you go.
I feel like friendly might be a slight overstatement. I'm sure Phineas is very strange and friendly enough. However, you know, you know, these pig farmers and these snake ladies, you know, snadies, if you will.
I will say as well, given the myth of Hythonia, like if you ended up there, that's gonna be like, that's something that you would all know, like, oh, that's dangerous. Like she would be dangerous to encounter.
I can't wait. I can't wait to make friends with her.
But yeah, so she kind of tells you some of the but she's very very concentrating on trying to figure it out. But I think you would have, in terms of the patterns, you would have discovered, you would have drawn a lot of the same conclusions. I think in terms of Cascade had gone, I've kind of discovered these patterns and then gone back to square one, and you would have very quickly, in an almost way that she's almost very impressed by, gone, oh, it could be this, oh no, that doesn't work.
I apply the pattern to the pattern.
To the pattern. And I think actually, Australia would have been quite frustrating for you. But also in that way that you relish a challenge.
The bit where it's like you think you have it and then you don't, but also that gives you another idea. Yeah.
So she's just been kind of like talking through with you. Definitely would have been a conversation in which you'd have earned more of that much desired respect from this captain that perhaps didn't get off entirely on the right foot with you.
She's going to have to kick me out of her room at some point because I'm just not going to stop. I'm just going to be like, it's going to be 2 a.m. and she's just going to be still like playing with the rings.
She does. It gets definitely to about like gone midnight. Callista, who's been watching and trying to help out where she can, has just done, I've gone to bed like 2 hours ago, and you're just like still going, and in the end Cascade's
like, I need to fucking sleep.
Okay, do you know what? In the politest and most respectful way possible, Lady Estrella, get the fuck out of my cabin. We will reconvene in the morning.
Estrella just like freezes, hand in the air. Oh god, what time is it?
Well, and she points out, let me give you a clue. That's not the sun setting, that's the sun rising.
Shit. Okay, I'm so sorry. She'll just kind of like gather up her notebooks and just like bustle out with like a couple of like mumbled apologies. And just as Callista's getting up, Estrella just kind of like walks in and flops face down on the bed. and you just hear, I almost had it. I swear I almost had it.
Said in the voice of someone who definitely didn't almost have it. No, not even close. But she's enjoying the challenge and she seems to be happy, so let's just let her do her thing. But yeah, so that was kind of how that conversation, and I think we did also briefly talk about you copying those spells.
20
definitely
minutes.
over the course of a couple of days you would have been able to do that.
20 minutes of free time is hard to come by.
Yeah, you would have been able to put those spells in. You only needed like 20 minutes. Yeah, that was ridiculous when we worked that out. So yeah, feel free to pop those into your. Can you remind me which spells it was?
It was locate object, featherfall, water breathing, control water, and create food and water. But the create food and water I gave to Cascade and her crew.
Yes,
just in case they ended up in like a small problem with the thingy.
Hector has that. I do remember.
Hector, yeah, because like
I do remember that conversation.
Ultimately, but between all of us, they are the ones more likely to end up with a food and water shortage. What with their occupation of choice.
True. They could definitely find use for it, later on, because you guys probably won't need it. I'm in such a shitty mood today. I need to stop. All right. Yeah. So that's kind of that. Was there anything else that you wanted Estrella to be doing, or if anyone else wants to jump in, we can go elsewhere. If you have nothing else, Lindsay has her hands up.
I've got more stuff, but have
Oh.
them go first.
Yeah, let's kind of dip and dive around. Okay, Lindsay, yes, what's Eva up to?
So one thing Eva would like to do, so probably since they first got on the ship, she'll be sort of like taking some of her food and putting it aside until eventually she will call down her seagull, her little seagull friend. And she is going to ask them if they could, go on a little bit of an adventure and see if they can spot the oracle that they've been told to keep an eye out for. And she's going to bribe them with her leftovers.
This seagull kind of like, the moment that you start packing the food together, you don't even really have to call them down. There's one seagull that you know by now which seagull it is. You recognize it has like quite a distinct pattern around the eyes, and you're like, yeah, that it's that one. Clearly the leader, clearly the brave one. Kind of careens down towards you, waits quite patiently actually for a gull. And when you kind of activate the magic to have a chat, they're quite they seem quite I want more cat seagull voice. All right all right, oh god, I might be too tired for this. All right, Eva, I see you got some food.
I do.
Yeah, feeling better, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So it just hopping forward, and then just kind of looks at you and then goes, though, Eva, you're gonna make me work for this, aren't you?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. This is what happens when you chat with humanoids.
Eva will pick a little like piece of bread out of the leftovers and just kind of like nom nom on it.
Wait. Okay, what do you want? I love I'm saying it like as if they're actually putting their hands up. The wings go up. Like, what do you want? What do you want?
So we've been told about this floaty oracle thing person dude. And apparently he just floats around the islands, and if you're lucky, you'll find him. But I feel like you are such observant, knowledgeable flock of seagulls with very good intel that could help us maybe locate this oracle.
A person floating
Or something?
on the water?
Yeah, he like travels around. He's like quirky and weird. I feel like he's the kind of guy who would also feed seagulls, maybe.
Oh, and there is like a little bit of recognition. And he goes, oh, Finn. Oh yeah, I've chatted with Finn. Lovely guy.
Eva will
So,
take a little bit of
I wouldn't
bread
call
and
him
give it to the
floating
seagull.
exactly. He's got well, he's definitely got an interesting ride.
That's the one. Interesting ride. That's what I
Mm.
remember.
You want to speak to Finn?
Yeah.
All right, me and my buddies can look out for Finn.
Eva will hand over the plethora of scraps of food.
Just this like giant like, come on boys, and he'll just descend, and like Cascade is like in the middle of just like rushing through, just like bloody, and just like Tilly is like immediately on edge.
Got a
like,
tornado of birds
out, like,
around
we
me.
have to attack as this flock of seagulls just descend as one. Cascade kind of turns to whoever's of you is closest to her, most likely going to be Estrella, and is just like, she's cleaning up any shit that I find on my ship.
We will clean it
Anything
up.
at all.
We will
She's
clean it up.
cleaning it up.
I'm gonna kind of walk over to Eva real quick and lean down and say, "Oh yeah, also tell them sorry about the weird antisocial bird."
I mean, you tell them. They'll
I-
understand you. You just can't understand them.
I kind of look at the giant.
Eva's gonna grab Estrella and just kind of hold her towards the seagulls.
Estrella will just kind of look, make eye contact with 1, 2, 3, a couple dozen seagulls, and just go.
These seagulls stop pecking at food, and all of them just look at you, and they're all just tapping their little feet. They're just waiting. They're just waiting for your apology.
Estrella just looks back at these seagulls and looks at her sparrow on her shoulder, and turns to the sparrow and goes, "Did you give them the fish?"
The sparrow just kind of cocks its head and hops as if it just kind of ruffles its feathers, like, of course I did.
Kind of look over at the seagulls. I sent my friend over with a bit of an apology peace offering. Sorry?
The skull turns to you, Eva, and goes, "He's calling one measly little tuna fish an apology piece of." Listen, look, it's fine. It's fine. You know what? Her bird is not as bad as the other one. It's okay. That one's weird.
I can't think of a word to describe it. I was gonna go with twat and then rhyme it with something, but I couldn't figure out a rhyme to twat.
Flat.
You know what? No, I'm
Flappy,
totally
twatty
sure.
flappy.
It's a little shit. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right,
Was that-
apology accepted.
Estrella looks at Eva.
I suppose
Is that
her
an
bird
okay?
can ride with us sometimes.
Yay. Eva will go like Estrella and just kind of hug her around the thighs because, Eva's only that tall. So she's going to give Estrella a little hug and tell her that she did good.
Thank you, Eva. Estrella looks genuinely relieved, which is really fucking funny.
And
no,
then
I
Eva,
pissed off the birds.
Eva's going to turn to Cascade and let her know that the seagulls are going to help them track down Finn.
Oh.
Cascade is just going to look at you. You're still cleaning up the shit.
Guys, don't shit on the ship.
No ship.
Oh,
shit,
but
shit.
Eva, I really gotta go.
Got a whole toilet out there.
The sea is everyone's toilet. Just go out there.
Then Estrella will just kind of turn to the birds. I'll send more fish when I can. He's a small bird.
And they kind of just fly off. And you notice, Eva, as they go, a lot of the flock continue to kind of stay in the general area, but a small group of them disperse and begin to head off roughly actually in the direction that your ship is currently going, to be honest. But they seem to have broken off from the general flock. You can probably presume that they are going to have a good scout around to see if they can make good on their word, with the hope that more food will come if they bring Finn back to you. So they've gone to go and have a look for Phineas.
That is what Eva will do for now.
All right. Did anyone else have, obviously it's sort of over the course of a couple of days and we can kind of jump back and forth if people think of things that they want to do, but did anyone else have anything pressing that they wanted to do, or just give me a general vibe of what you think that your character will be doing? Yeah, go for it, Kumi.
So coming back to what you started with, Kat, and that it can get boring on the boat. Now it's been anything but boring for Kalyuka on the boat, okay? And you can see this montage as Kalyuka and Caillou are having the best freaking time on this ship. And they're just essentially their whole MO is just getting in people's way, okay? So they're constantly at the kitchen and Hector is trying out all these new recipes and they're essentially constantly taking sandwiches together on deck. they keep walking around and seeing as Astrea just keeps repeating to herself, just saying puzzles, puzzles. They're all in it, the patterns, I can see them. And then he goes like, and then just like hands Caillou another sandwich, walks around. They go and just sit with Onyx and Tilly as they just sit in this really comfortable silence together and are just sharpening blades, and you just have like Kalyuka and Caillou eating extremely noisily at the background. They walk around and watch as like Callista is doing a bit of divination, just standing looking out at the sea and just kind of like I've played her a song later. And then and then there's just like these moments where it's just this thing, Eva sitting up in the crow's nest and Kalyuka and Caillou right in the background just watching with her. And then at the same point when they're sitting on the on the deck and watching as like Eva just stands there talking to a seagull, and there's this whole flock that just flies by and just goes away, and it's just them eating in the background. And all these days, one thing that Kalyuka would like to do is, having seen what an affinity playing the bagpipes to the people from the sea had, she wants to do something a little special for Callista. So every day she goes and stands by the helm of the boat, looks down at the sea, and plays a song about Callista to it, and just puts it out there as a message for anyone who might have been looking for her all these years and didn't know where to find her. She plays a small song about where Callista grew up, how she's like, the sort of small effort she takes every day to open a lock. And like, it's always ends with, she got a little closer today. I saw her around Surrey. It's getting a little better, but it's just all this weaved into the music. And it's with a little bit of prestidigitation. How do you say it? Okay, but there's like a couple of sensory notes, and even on like the lap of the sea, it's just these small sparks of light or like smoke that just shows up to add effect to anything that Kalyuka is trying to just weave into the story, and just send it out as like a sort of like a homing call every evening just before the sun goes down.
That's really sweet.
I know, you're gonna make me
All right, we got
cry.
a bit of a montage going on here. So what I'm getting from this is that Kalyuka and Caillou are doing a lot of eating, so you might need that create to scroll sooner than we thought. At one point, Cascade's like, how many sandwiches have you eaten today? And you could just see her doing some mental calculations of like, what's the food supplies that we have on the ship? Did we pack enough for a Goliath? But it's not dire yet. For the sake of the montage, I'm not going to punish you and be like, well, you just ate all the food. Well done, Kalyuka. You see kind of like, so there's these little montages, there's these moments. You're standing under the crow's nest and Caillou decides, now is the time. I'm going to test my jumping ability. Can I jump all the way from down here all the way up to the crow's nest to where you were sitting? So you're just got this little like bunny rabbit trying to jump higher and higher and higher, and just everyone's just watching with interest as she's literally only getting like inches higher at a time. And Kalyuka's just fully like, you can do it. I believe in you. Perseverance. And you kind of sit with Tilly and Onyx, who are just silently kind of like looking after their weapons. And you're eating really loudly and just kind of looking out over the sea. And at one point, like nothing is said, but Tilly is like kind of whetstoning the blade of the axe, and then just stops, and then just slightly catches Onyx's eye, and just raises her eyebrow as like Calliope is just like munching away, and then she's like, and then just, just continues, but doesn't say anything. And yeah, you got all these really beautiful moments, and then it kind of like ends, and there's this moment where you're kind of stood at the bar of the ship. Make a perception check for me.
Ooh, okay. My perception is. Oh, wow. That's a lot higher than I remember. Oh, okay. That's 24.
24.
I don't believe it either.
24 is really good.
Oh, 25.
No, 24. You know what? I need to lower your expectations. You play this beautiful tune, and it's interweaved with all of this, like this story, like Callista's story. It's basically like, does anyone know who this person is? Because she's looking for her family, and this is who she is, and this is how she grew up, and she's just giving out all of Callista's personal information. This is her mobile number, this is her current residency, like, and just really just, you know, taking all the privacy laws and just throwing them in the bin. As you,
it's like a lost cat post on Facebook
about Callista's life out to the sea, but it's done with heart and love. And as you finish this song, you kind of gaze out at the water. And, you know, the water's quite still. There's a sort of distant, you can feel the mist kind of clinging to your skin a little bit. And there's another sort of distant rumble of thunder. And you just see a flash of lightning for a second. But it's very distant, very far away. And it kind of catches your attention for a second and makes you look at the sky. And then when you look back to the water for just a second or two, there's a face peering out of the water. And before you have a second to really register the features or really register who or what it is, the eyes widen and they are back under the water, and they're gone again. What you did register, it looked Atlantean, or certainly what you saw a couple of days ago, and you get the sense just from this, they're like, oh, they're still, they haven't just gone, they're still around, they're still watching us, they're still. And there was like, it was just sort of just a moment, you just sort of caught this curiosity. It was not someone that you recognized. It looked to be a young girl. Okay. Quite young, maybe sort of early teens. But that was just the brief glimpse you got. You did not get enough of a look, I would say, because you rolled what did I do? You rolled a 24. You rolled a 20. You rolled a 24. I will tell you this because you rolled 24, and that's good. Their features, what you did glimpse of their features, reminded you of Koros. Just to look at, there was familial resemblance, but it wasn't, from what you could tell, Koros. It was, and then they were gone, kind of thing, and you didn't really get to see anything else. But just for a second, you see that. And they were obviously caught off guard at the fact that they were caught and just disappeared. They panicked and just went. So, yeah, and that's kind of how you end the night. There seems to be no response or anything like that beyond that. You just briefly saw this young girl before she disappeared.
Got it. I guess if maybe I'll wait till the morning for this. So if anybody else wants to go to I'd catch up with probably Callista and Eva, because I feel like Eva is probably the most perceptive and has spent probably the most time on deck looking around. So I'd talk to both of them the next morning, and just be like, is it okay if I just talk to you for a little bit? And you can see as like Kalika's constantly like looking out at the sea again, and just kind of like straining her ears almost to listen for something. And she goes, Eva, over the night, I know you've been spending a lot of time up there, but did you hear anything maybe bump against the ship or see anything? Like, even when looking at the ship right now, does it look like anything has been shifted or someone's come on board by any chance?
Should I roll a perception roll?
Well, I mean, you have high passive perception. As far as you can tell, you've not
22,
really
yeah.
heard anything that makes you think of that. But there was this one incident, and it was only briefly crossed. And at the time, you know, when you just kind of drift into someone's conversation, and then they're not really saying anything that's that interesting to you, so you just kind of drift out of it. So you kind of pay attention to exactly what Kumi is saying. Kalika is saying about like, is there any indication that someone has come on board? Because you haven't seen anything in the water, no feeling of like, oh, the ship jostled or anything like that. But you remember earlier that morning, Cascade came out, and she seemed a little frustrated, and Hector, you know, doing his usual spiel of kind of just talking, and she's just kind of looking like she's got a little bit of a migraine. She's like, for the love of the gods, could you just, Hector, not now. And he's like, oh, my apologies, what's the matter? Are you unwell? Kind of in that way of like, oh, it's my job to make sure that you're okay, but also I don't want to catch it, you know. So he's like very like, are you unwell? And she's just like, no, I just feel like all of this, I'm trying to work out these islands and I'm getting nowhere with it, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Like, now my books are going missing. And that kind of sparks you, and you kind of try to remember, because it was at that point that you kind of went, oh, it's just Cascade kind of grumbling. But you try to remember the moments of the conversation as you drifted back away from it, and you very clearly remember Hector going, well, which book of yours is missing? And she said, it's not an important one, a dictionary. And that is what you remember. And so you're like, oh, if anything is indicating that someone could have come aboard this ship, something going missing is the only thing that you would think of to indicate that.
Callista's there, right?
Yeah, I think
okay.
Kalika is talking to the two of you.
So
yeah.
Eva's gonna turn over to Callista and ask her if she has been practicing her skills on dictionaries.
No, nothing that big. I actually am taking Suri's advice and trying to like put things into people's pockets, because she said you have to know how to put things in before you learn how to take them out. So no, nothing that big, just little seashells I've been trying to put in people's pockets.
Okay. So not Callista stealing books, okay. I don't think Suri's gonna steal books. So yeah, no concern with books going missing. Estrella? No, Estrella would ask permission. Yeah.
Sorry for just starting this off by not really giving any context, but because I hope you're not too mad at me for this, but I've been the last couple of days, like I know you were not there to see it, Eva, but like Callista and I did this kick-ass combo move where I ran and jumped off the boat, and then suddenly like Callista goes like "Hooah!" and then I can suddenly walk on water, and but then I decided, and she like hesitates just for the spare a second to look at your shoulder, Eva, and then goes like, and then I decided to, play music to the Atlanteans. And so something strange happened. They all started to, of course, applause. And, it's not like I've never gotten applause before, of course. I always get applause. But yes, they were, incredibly smitten by my playing. So I thought, hey, maybe they're able to, understand emotions at least, even if it's not words. So I've been standing every evening and just kind of playing out the song to the ocean. And Callista, I hope this is not me intruding too much on you, but I wanted to see whether I could get a message out to anyone who would consider you family, because you've helped me so much with my own that I really wanted to do my, I mean, especially since we're just out at sea right now, like when else would we find this opportunity? And and yesterday something strange happened. I noticed that there's somebody quite similar in looks to the prince himself out in sea looking at us. And it was just for the briefest moment, but she looked really young. And she was quite definitely keeping a watch on us. And I haven't been able to sleep the whole of last night, imagining that I'll just look at my window and she'd be looking inside. And yeah, it's been a little hard. Caillou has just kept guard near the window the whole night.
Eva's gonna, like, as Kalika's talking, Eva's gonna clicky clacky over to the side of the boat and just kind of wave at the open ocean in general and just scream a little hello, and then head back over to Kalika.
There's no response, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I think
Callista, what I will say is briefly, as she mentions that that she saw like someone who looked a bit similar to the prince, but was quite young. When you met the prince and you were all trying to overcome the language barrier and you briefly went into his head. And you remember seeing like all these sort of flurries of moments. And at one point, there was this moment of there was a girl that he was thinking about, a young girl, and it just briefly flashed up in his mind, and you got kind of like this feeling of like regret or worry, like kind of he was thinking about her and worrying about her, just for briefly. And so just when as a point of interest, when Kelly kind of says, oh, there was a girl and it kind of looked a bit like Chorus, that is the memory that kind of sparks up in you of just like, oh, I feel like I saw something along those lines.
Okay, yeah. So Callista, you're hearing all of this. She's like, oh, Kalyuka, that's so sweet. I mean, I never knew my family, and I mean, I feel like you guys are my family now, but it would be really cool to actually meet some of my own people. I think it's really, really nice. Thank you. But about that girl you saw, I think it maybe is Chorus's sister. I'm not sure. I just, when he was here on the ship, I kind of was reading his thoughts a little bit, and he was worried about a young girl that looked very much like him. So I mean, he went back to his people, so I don't know why she would be following us unless, I don't know.
Eva, I've seen you talk to birds. Can you do the same with fish?
I don't know how intelligent they are, but I mean, if you can get one, I can try.
It's just gonna be you casting Speak with Animals, and this fish just being like, I need air.
Well, she'd have to jump in the water and go swimming to.
No, you can fish one and then take it out, and then we can put it in a bucket of water, and then I can stick my head in the bucket and try and talk to it.
Oh my god,
that
that would be
made me
amazing.
laugh.
Could I actually try that? Like,
Yes.
maybe what could be slightly more intelligent than a fish? A crab? An eel?
Well, any of the mammals, so like an orca or
Yeah,
like a
that's what I was gonna say.
dolphin.
A mammal.
Yeah. A mammal? How difficult?
How
You know what would be
easy
really good?
Idea.
Some dolphins or something.
Yeah, a
Mhm.
dolphin.
Yeah.
Definitely
or a
way better.
squid.
Water.
If dolphins come, tie a rope around me, yeet me into the water, throw me behind the boat, and I will talk to the dolphin.
Oh my god.
Somewhere deep in the bowels of Cascade's cabin, Estrella just face palms for no reason.
But
In
would
the
it be
bowels?
possible? Oh god.
I think
but-
it would work.
yeah,
How
would it
big
be
do you think
possible
this
to-
cabin is? I've literally provided you a map.
Yeah, I know, but like it's less in the depths of the cabin, more in the depths of there's a map in front of me that has a puzzle on it, so I am deep in the bowels. of
Oh
something.
yeah, Astrea has fully built herself a book fortress. She's just on the bed, and Cascade is at wit's end because every night when Astrea leaves, she has to clear off all of the shit, but then she's trying not to disrupt any notes. And yeah, just no respect for the fact that this
full,
is Cascade's
full
space.
gremlin Estrella. Look, it'll be worth it. Trust me.
Could I try to replicate? Since we've spent a couple of days at sea, would it be possible that either Eva or me, either of us, because Eva is a kenku as well, so she could probably mimic it, but a whale song. Did we hear a whale song?
Okay,
anywhere?
what I'm going to say to you right now is that you could attempt it. It would involve a performance check, and you want to mimic and sound exactly like a whale. It's going to be a pretty high DC.
With the backpack.
It would be much less difficult for Eva if she could remember what the sound of a whale song sounds like.
As she was drowning at the bottom of the ocean.
As she was drowning. Yes.
Multitasking.
So what I will do, I mean, you could both attempt it and it would be really funny to see who does better. I think for Eva, I would say it would be a nature or survival check to remember exactly what a whale song sounds like, because I think if you get that, then you can pretty well mimic a whale song.
And don't I have a bonus, a 3-time bonus to...
You do. On
Yep.
any check that is related to marine life, you can have, I think it was advantage.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
I start playing it, I'm going to also give Eva bardic inspiration, so you can take 1d6 to that.
Because really, Kaliuka knows that Eva has the best shot at this.
And would this
Do I
be
need to go
milking
in the
it?
water for this?
You know, here's the thing. I think the only limitation that you're going to find is how loud you are. Because and you could go into the water and try to do it from the water. Yes, the boat is moving, so it might leave you behind. You are quite a fast swimmer though, so
I'll tie a rope to around like Eva's waist. Just in
you could
case.
do that. Yeah, you could do
Just
that.
No
in
one else
case.
is in on this conversation. We're just here like, okay, we're going to do this. We're
Yeah.
gonna do this. Okay, give me the rope. I'm going
Like at this point, as you're tying the rope and you're excitedly talking and you're kind of like doing these like little mimicking of like whale song and like practicing for a moment and stuff. Even you kind of slightly turn and Dion is just standing there and he's just looking at you and he's like, do I need to ask what is happening here? You're not.
No.
And then he looks at you, Eva, and he goes, "You're not going back in the water again." Like, you know, he's got that like slight like, is she under a spell again? Like, am I gonna have to rescue her? Like, so he's like, are you going back in the water?
Eva's just gonna take a step backwards.
Eva.
Another step.
Eva. I'm not
Gonna look
gonna
over
stop you.
shoulder on the side of the boat.
Eva, I'm not gonna stop you. However, I do have the ability to, like, shapeshift. If you would like to be a whale. Or maybe one of us should go in with you.
I have limits to my mimicry.
Maybe one of us
Let's
should go in
do it,
with you. I can, like, just in case something happens.
I mean, no, if you
If
come
we're
in with
gonna
me, you won't be able to
do-
see me anyway, so...
Yes, I
If
will.
we're gonna do this, we should try to bring the boat to a stop.
I
That's all
don't
I'm
need.
gonna say.
I love it that we're trying so hard.
That's a smart one. You do not want to be tied to a freaking tall ship, a 3-masted tall ship
Yeah.
with a rope while it is moving.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
So Eva's gonna pause for a second. She's gonna steeple her hands. She's gonna turn to Kalyuka and be like, "Okay, so why are we doing this again?"
So I think Adena Kalyuka is like smiling, but at this point, I mean, she's like, okay, maybe this went a little too far for something we were just going to do on the side. And goes like, yeah, so I don't exactly remember, but I think we wanted to ask the whale if anybody was around us, and now
There's a
thinking
whale?
about it, we figured that maybe the only sort of like sea animal that Eva could talk to is probably a whale. But but anywho, and then I fill in Ashley and Onyx.
At this point, you're drawing a crowd. You're drawing a crowd of people coming over, just like, what on earth? And you're just talking, you're like rambling on about this plan of like, yeah, we're gonna throw Eva in, and then she's gonna like start talking to whales, and so it's like, oh, we can ask if there's people around trying to, and Cascade is like, well, we have islands around us, so I don't know that we'll meet many whales. Dolphins, maybe. There are quite a lot of dolphins. Would it not be easier just they surface? Maybe just to keep an eye out. If I see any, I can tell you.
Do you have maybe like
Less fun, but
I can
okay.
also just shift into one, see if I can put out a call and see if I can get any of them to show up.
No, it's okay. I mean, if you can turn into a fish, could you try checking out underneath if anyone's following us, and could you see if you meet a fellow fish whether you can talk to them in fish?
I don't know that I'll necessarily have the presence of mind.
They're all just.
My mental capacity isn't what it
Hector's
is
got his
now.
hand up
If
and he's
I'm
like, do you want me to ask Thassa to bring forward a sea creature for you to communicate with, like trying to be helpful? And Suri at this point, she's been listening to the whole time, just looking at all of you, and then she just kind of goes, you are all fucking mental, and just gets up and just walks off. Tilly's saying nothing. Tilly's just sitting there like,
I just look directly at her and
Onyx is
say
just like-
yes.
Onyx is just sharing the look with Tilly, like,
yeah, she's just
I
looking
don't
like,
know, they're my friends, but
these yours? These with you?
All right, big brain moment. Big brain. So, Cascade, if anyone, Dolphin come, I can do beast sense, and then use the beast sense to see if there's anything around.
Oh, thank God. I was worried I'd have to do something really dumb.
Cascade's like, great, sounds like a plan.
I just give Cascade the most thank you, dear Lord, thank you look.
And then, like, as you realize that half the crew are now around, they've all been helpfully, unhelpfully trying to suggest things as well. Like, some of them are like, what are you talking about? Like, don't throw yourself off the ship. And some of them are just like, oh, what about octopi? They're pretty smart. And then, like, just really, like, being helpful and unhelpful. And
so here's the thing, with an octopus, you could just, like, get a sucker and slap on the ship and just kind of sit there.
And then, like, Cascade just, like, Cascade goes, great. I'm so glad that we've reached that we have a plan now. Back to work, and she's like, everyone just disperses, and yeah, kind of had this moment of just like everyone just realizing, like, were we really just sat here chatting for 3/4 of an hour about who was going to turn into a whale and why? What was this? What happened here? And Tilly kind of turns to you, Onyx, and goes, your friends are pretty interesting.
They do most of the works in that department, so I don't have to.
Oh, you're interesting too.
Well,
just in a different way.
I appreciate that. I just try to make sure none of them get hurt too badly.
She kind of watches as like everyone's dispersing and Calliope is still talking rapidly about like, maybe if we just found a dolphin. And then like she's like, looks like you've given yourself quite the task.
Well, I appreciate a challenge.
So you want to
yeah, sure.
Fight or something? Yeah, cool. And you both get up and
yeah, but I guess that's a good transition. That's Onyx is probably spending most of this time just, I was thinking between, she'd probably be like just getting to know Tilly a little bit, but in the way of like two stoic like bodybuilder ladies get to know each other, which is occasionally sparring and then sitting around and working on their weapons, but also
flexing.
Yeah.
Comparing muscle mass.
Crunches, finding a good boom, doing pull-ups on the boom. And I think the other thing that Onyx is trying to do during this time is she's trying to practice a little bit of her smithing. And so she's probably going to go over whatever weapons are on the ship and just make sure she's like taking a look at everything, making sure all the weapons are being well cleaned since there's a lot of water out here, making sure nothing's getting too rusty, oiling everything, making sure everything, polishing the brass on the ship, just trying to do the sorts of like simple metalwork maintenance that she learned from her mom, and preparing to when she has maybe a better workshop available to her, trying to get some insight about the different kinds of weapons that are on the ship and what she might be able to do to improve her own weapons and those of the rest of her party once she has better tools at hand.
Yeah, I like that. So she so I mean, and Tilly is still stoic as ever, still a woman of few words. She kind of, you really, as you get to know her better, and really when I say get to know her better, it's more fighting style than anything. Like you really get to understand more about the way, and she's very gifted fighter, which you were expecting. Definitely the muscle of the group. And she's not particularly forthcoming with words other than to kind of talk about like soldier stuff, you know.
Or like technique and like
about technique. Like at one point she seems kind of like, what strikes you is that she seems she seems very shy. Like it's genuinely, it's not just like a stoicness, like disinterest, which probably people really mistake it for when they first meet her. Like, oh, she's just like this warrior that's like just above it all. But actually it really just seems like that she's quite chronically shy and finds it difficult to interact with people. So even when she's talking about like and it's very, very limited in her words, when she's talking about like technique and she's just like, oh, lift your arm a bit, you'll find it easier. She then kind of like checks herself and kind of gets this like sort of like slight wide-eyed panic of like, oh, I just corrected her, that was like so that was so like I shouldn't have done that. And like almost like kind of get a bit flushed, you know.
I think
She's
when
not really
Onyx,
blushing because she's a minotaur, but like it's kind of, she gets awkward and then she goes quiet for a little bit longer. And I guess in some ways it would maybe remind you a little bit of Callista. Callista is quite like anxious and very sweet, and she seems to have a similar nature, but definitely even less talkative than Callista. But she does attempt to, like at one point she's kind of fighting, she sort of stops and takes a second. She's like, let me catch my breath, and she goes to take a swig from her water, and as she does, she like, you notice that Cascade has been kind of watching you, kind of but pretending not to, and she kind of looks up at Cascade, and Cascade kind of makes this like face and she's like, so your mother is a smith?
yeah, she's both of my mothers live in Satessa. My mom, my mama is the smith, and the other one I just call Bianca. She's a weaver, and yeah, she does a lot of smithing for the Satessan militia. I'm just gonna throw that out there. You can correct me if that's wrong, DM override.
Yeah, no, she definitely does. Like I think that your mother is probably a fairly prominent smith. Like she's very good at her craft, and she probably works quite closely with like the council in outfitting their soldiers. She's successful. Equally, I think that your Bianca probably does like they kind of work in tandem, especially when it like comes to armor and things like that. And she does a lot of like the weaving for like more ceremonial stuff. She may even have been working on I feel like they're pretty prominent in the city. I think she may even have been working on the dresses that some of the council members ended up wearing for the reception of the Therosian delegation. Like she does a lot of like more formal wear, and obviously those particularly prominent members of the city are the ones that need it most. So
that makes sense to me, as like they were both really successful artisans, and that's part of maybe the reason why they put off having children for so long until they found Onyx, and then
and I think that they kind of met through that as well. Like that would have definitely been a common thread of them kind of being in the same circles.
Common thread.
Meet cute. Satessan delegation, meet cute. But yeah, so and she kind of just nods, and she's like, oh yeah, my mother is a smith as well, and my father is he's just a soldier, not just a soldier, but
I appreciate. I hadn't much experience with fathers, but I met Kalyuka's father, and
oh yeah,
he seemed like interesting.
Well, it was and she kind of seems a little stilted in sharing this, but she said, well, it was, they were both my fathers, but one is my mother now.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you've seen my sword before, but if you want to look at it again, my mother made it.
Yeah, can I? And she kind of she walks over and she really properly like looks at it. She kind of talks and she's like, oh, I only really know from Scophos, I only really know of that kind of smithing. I've never really traveled beyond with and she has like a bit of a stutter. But she's like beyond with Cascade.
Well, I could, if you're interested, I could show you a little bit. I've been trying to pick up some of my mother's teachings, and I was just going around and kind of looking at what's available on the ship, but I don't know if whenever we're next in port, there'll be a forge available, but I mean, we can try looking at what's available with the tools that we have.
Yeah. Sounds good. I know that sometimes when we're out on long journeys, they kind of rust, and I didn't really know how to fix it. So,
well, my Onyx gets a little bit like perked up, and she's like, "Oh, well, my mama's formulated this special oil that we have that helps if you coat the swords and all your steel with this oil. It really makes them last longer against the elements. And let me just go." And she kind of turns to, like, "I'll go grab it from my cabin. Wait right here." And I think Onyx goes off to go get her specific
just
kit.
the more perceptive among you that might be kind of realizing that they're kind of just chatting, because I think it's quite rare to see Tilly having a conversation. Normally it's just very like one worded. So I feel like maybe Eva and Callista might have just picked up on it on their radar, just like, oh, there's an actual conversation going on here, and like Onyx is kind of perked up. She's run off to the cabin to go and get something, and like you will probably just catch Tilly just looking at Cascade with like just this kind of slight panicked expression of just like Cascade's like, "You're doing fine," and then like that's it, and she just kind of goes back in the cabin, and Tilly's like, "Oh no, don't go." And then she just kind of waits on the bench, like
I just imagine that everybody that's like around just hears like things like knocking against the walls and just chaos as Onyx like books down the stairs running as fast as she can to get to the cabin.
Just the sound of
stuff.
The crew becoming like bowling skittles for a second of just like getting knocked out the way, and as the people are like, whoa, hey, no running in the corridors. But yeah, you kind of like run off.
Is that what you call them in the UK? Bowling skittles?
Yeah, they're like, oh no, they're bowling pins, aren't they? And
yeah,
we call them skittles.
We call Skittles. Well, Skittles is a candy, but
yeah,
then
Skittles
I was thinking of sprinkles. Well. But you guys call those,
what is it? Hundreds and thousands.
Hundreds and thousands.
Yeah.
So weird.
Hundreds and. Did you just say it was weird?
All I'm saying is that's a lot of syllables for sprinkles.
Yeah.
And the shit sank. The end.
No, Estrella shifts to a different plane where she's the only one on the ship, and then it immediately sinks.
Just suddenly, Estrella just
why am I alone?
off the boat.
A Kraken just picks her out of the cabin and just
get that tentacle that just comes out, just
comes up, grabs Estrella in particular, and leaves.
Onyx comes running back up the stairs just to see Estrella be pulled under. I was gone 10 seconds. Like,
yeah.
And I quote, "I don't want to have to fight that kid."
I am not fighting that kid. Like, we're staying on the scene forever. Yeah, so, and you come running back up, and you got this like little oil in hand.
Just like a pouch of like sword maintenance stuff, like a leather bag, and I got like some rags and some oil and just some stuff that I use to take care of to keep all those steel in good condition. And I'll just show her, you know, I would just imagine the conversation continues with like Onyx kind of showing her like, yeah, this is what my mother uses, and it has a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you can make your own just by like I don't know, like sandalwood oil and some, yeah.
And she listens very intently, like she and she kind of follows along, and she said, oh yeah, I recognize that from my mom used to use that stuff. I had some, but I'm running out, and I haven't seen. And you kind of see like she looks a bit sad for a bit, and she's like, I haven't seen them in a while, like a really long time. So I was gonna have to get some more anyway, probably when we went back to Miletus.
I know how that goes. This is the first time I'm really going on a long trip without. Well, I went to Akros, and then when I came back, there was all kinds of problems, but it's hard to travel without them sometimes.
It's been about 3 years for me, so yeah, long time. What did you what did you think of Akros?
There's a lot of men there.
Well, they're not all men. Skophos and Akros don't have a good history.
You'll get no argument from me. I would have much rather spent my time in Satessa, but I had missions to take care of. And she kind of looks over to wherever Dion is standing, and I had people to track down.
You don't get on with him, do you?
There's a history. It wasn't 100% his fault, but he did some things.
Didn't we all?
He maybe did a little bit more than most, but I'm working on it.
Like what? Oh, sorry, I'm being really noisy.
It's all right. I was found in a village where most of the women that lived there were killed, and he was part of the group that killed them. But I guess he was under some kind of spell.
So you're uncomfortable around people that have that's a history. And she kind of looks a bit strange, like you're kind of describing essentially like a mass slaughter, and she's very quiet for a moment, and she seems uncomfortable, and she said, I guess normal people wouldn't want to be around people that have done things like that.
Well, in this case, it's personal. I've done my fair share of combat, and we all do what we have to in certain situations, but
do you think you can atone for something like that? Like if you're
I think
sorry.
no, it's all right. I think Onyx has to think about it for a second, and I think she tries to ask herself what her mothers would say and what Nilia would say, and I would say that I think Onyx, like, there's maybe a beat or two where all you really hear is the sound of the sword on the whetstone, but then she says, I think if they were doing what they had to do to survive or protect the ones that they love, then maybe there's nothing to atone for. But if they regretted their actions, then yes, I think there's always a path to redemption. And I'll forgive Dion eventually. He wouldn't have done it if he was in his right mind. I just needed time.
And you as you're kind of talking, you sort of finish what you're saying, and you kind of look back at her, and you're really a little taken aback by the kind of intense expression that she has on her face, almost a little bit like she was sort of hanging on your answer. She really wanted to know what you had to say on this particular thing. And she lets out kind of this exhale, and it almost sounds a little bit like relief. And I think we'll go to break there. And if there was more that you wanted to say or do, we can pick up the conversation afterwards. But yeah, we're going to take about a 15-minute break now, everyone, because we are now at 4:30. So we will be back. Hopefully we don't forget and come back 25 minutes like last week. Oops. And we will be back in about 15 minutes, everyone. So grab some water, grab some foods, do what you got to do, and see you in 15.
Talk to some
Bye.
dolphins.
we're back. We can see that we just got raided by Mimics and Misfits. So, hey, Mimics and Misfits, thanks for raiding us. You came just in time. Well, maybe I didn't actually see when you raided, but hopefully just in time and not 10 minutes ago. That felt like the quickest break ever. I feel like I literally only just got up, walked away, came back, and then I was like, oh, we're already a couple of minutes late. Hello, everyone that's giving us a watch. Just so you know, did lovely 24 on perception earlier. Just so you know, we are in Theros. We're playing, if you've just joined us, we're playing D&D 5e. We're playing a homebrew campaign run by me, set in Theros, which is an ancient Greek themed paraphernalia going on, and currently our lovely party are out on the seas, exploring the Siren Sea and the Dakra Isles, and hopefully not finding anything too dangerous, though I mean their current track record's not great. So we just kind of just left off, and I don't know, Joan, if you had any more that Onyx kind of wanted to chat with Tilly about, but we kind of just left off in this moment where Onyx and Tilly were having a conversation, and she kind of just like, she has this moment where she just kind of exhales and looks at you, and then there's just this awkward pause, and she's kind of like waiting to see if you're going to say something, but if you don't, she's then like, shall we and she's kind of you're muted. The quietest we've ever heard Onyx.
I think Joan has enough insight to know something's up, but Onyx maybe doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just confirm what that number is for myself. That's not terrible, but I think that
I think you would, because it was quite an intense expression. So even if you had a lower passive insight, you'd know, like, oh, I wasn't expecting this level of intensity. Like, I was expecting more of a sort of a listening face, but she seems to be drawing more from this. You could do an insight check if you like, to see if you can determine more about how she's feeling in this moment.
I don't think I will. I think she's just gonna, like, when that pause comes, she's just gonna kind of look up at her and just give her a guileless smile of like I'm not judging anybody right now. I just had personal shit between me and Dion, and I'm working through it, but I'm gonna get through it, and we're all good. So let's go fight.
And she kind of like lets out like this breath, and when you kind of smile at her, you get your first Tilly smile back.
Yay!
And it's like I'm gonna be honest, it's like a little beam of sunshine. Like, it's like a really genuine, like slightly awkward, nerdy, like kind of smile. Like a really shy smile, and then she kind of like collects herself a bit, and she's like, wanna go again, or
yeah,
cool. And she kind of gets up, and she's back to, you know, the Tilly that you knew before. Tilly, a few words ready just to kind of like kick some ass with her really cool axe. And we'll kind of, I guess, tail off and end it there. All right. Is there anything that anyone else wanted to do? I think, we haven't. Yeah, I was going to say, I think the only person that we haven't really touched upon of what they're going to be doing is our beloved Callista. So over those couple of days, what do you think Callista has been getting up to? Apart from all the things that everyone else has dragged her into.
But before the super awesome plan of turning one of the people into a whale kind of got sidebarred, because she thought that was just great. She was really into that. But she would have gone up to Captain Cascade, and she pulls out this really pristine new, looks like it's never been used navigator's kit. And she goes up to Captain Cascade and she's like, I've read all about how to navigate the seas, and I've never actually gotten to use this. And so she wants to like help, because of course, since she's read about it, she's an expert on it in her mind anyway. So she wants to kind of help doing a little bit of navigation. And when she's not doing that, she's going around to all of her party and the crew and trying to like secret little seashells into their pockets as part of her training in pickpocketing. And then after her conversation with Eva and Kelyuka about the young girl that Kelyuka saw in the water, every day she kind of walks around and is just kind of keeping an eye out, hoping to see the same thing. Not that she's worried about it. She thinks it would be really cool to see the Atlanteans again.
All right. So let's address the conversation with Cascade first. So you kind of go up, and Cascade is one of those people. She walks around. She's got like a notebook out. She's she's always somehow busy, like everyone else on this ship, even the crew that have assigned tasks and stuff. There's lulls, there's moments of like, we're having a break, or we're kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen, or there's kind of these moments of quiet. And there are some people that are definitely more bored than others, and stuff like that. Hector particularly doesn't really seem to have a whole lot to do, and likes to make himself look very busy, but in the laziest way possible. He's just kind of always sitting down, always reading a book, but if asked, he's like, I am doing some incredibly important thing, ritual or whatever, that is necessary in order for our ship to be protected. Thus is the life of a busy cleric such as I. We've all worked with a Hector. Yes, we have. So you kind of, and Cascade is one of the only people on this ship that genuinely is just always busy. She is going around checking everything to the minute detail, and if she sees people that aren't busy, she'll find something for them to do. She can reel off a list of 5 things that need doing right now, just off the top of her head. So when you approach Cascade, she's always kind of got her head in her notes, or kind of charting a course, or doing something. And so she kind of does this thing. She kind of has this habit that Estrella is already kind of saying, where she kind of, when someone starts talking to her, she leans her head in their direction to show that she's listening, but she's still finishing like her sentence or finishing her task. She's not like, won't interrupt herself. And then when you kind of go, I haven't used these, and she's like, and she kind of finishes, and then she's like, and she starts to look at them and pick them up, and she's like, these are nice quality. Where did you get these?
The temple that I grew up in gave them to me because I had an interest in the sea. This is the first time I've ever gotten to be on the sea, but I always read about it and dreamed about traveling the seas, and so I read a lot of books on how to navigate, and so I got these from there, but I've never actually got to use them really. I mean, I've pretended like I'm using them, but this is the first time I've
she as you're talking, she gives you a very genuine smile, you're kind of in the doorway of her cabin, which she was just on her way into, and she kind of like looks back at her cabin filled with books about the sea, and says, sounds a little like someone else I know, and invites you in. And she basically then begins to kind of like go through how she navigates, how she she actually says, I'm free right now, even though it's very clear that she's very much not. Like, she just is, she's one of those people that just makes time appear out of nowhere. And so she actually spends a good amount of time just really going through with you. And a lot of it is stuff that you've read, but it's good to see it like in practice, and the way that she kind of organizes her notes and her maps and charts her course. And she kind of is showing you like on the map like where she thinks you roughly are, and in relation to this Captain Piper's bird, like where that was last seen, and stuff, and kind of really helps you to understand that stuff. So you spend a lot of time with her, and then whenever she needs navigation tasks, she doesn't formally say to you, I'll train you up, but whenever she's about to do some like navigation, she kind of will just call out. She's got a very commanding voice, so you'll hear her even if she is all the way across. She'll just call out, Callisto, I need you, and like you'll just kind of go over, and it's just her way of kind of asserting to everyone like, oh, she's helping me now, like no one question this. So you're doing that. Seashells in people's pockets. And any particular victims in mind?
No, I think she would be, she would definitely want to try to get a seashell into Eva's pocket. Because she feels like
don't start easy on yourself now.
No, of course not, because Callista is great at this, in her own mind at least.
Great. Okay, because my thing was I was going to get you to make sort of 3 sleight of hand rolls, and then I'll just tell you roughly your progress based on that. So we'll do one for Eva using Eva's passive perception, so good luck. And then that's what I'm saying. And then if there's no one else in particular that you had in mind, I will pull from maybe just the generic crew, like, and I'm not talking about like Hector and Dion and all of that, I'm talking about like people in the crew, like the people running the ship, and we'll kind of go against their generic passive perception and see where you land, kind of roughly. And I feel like I'm giving you a gift here as well, because you really started off with Eva, and okay.
Well,
so
you gotta go big.
Go big or go home. Like Eva, Suri is watching, and the moment she sees you starting to approach Eva as like your next target, she's like, oh, she's fucking brave. I'll give her that. like, she's fully like, oh, didn't want to start easy. No, okay, I like that. Roll a sleight of hand check, and we'll match it against Eva's passive perception.
Yeah, no, this is not going to go well. Yeah, no, that's a 9.
Yeah, Eva,
1, but...
just you're minding your own business, and you feel a hand jam itself into your pocket with quite some force. You possibly expect to turn around and see Suri. At this point, you're kind of aware from the conversations that the crew has, she's got a little bit of a reputation as a practical joker, and as someone who likes to kind of admire people's pockets internally. And so you're kind of expecting to kind of turn around and catch her in the act. And you turn around, and Callista is just mid hand in the pocket.
So Eva's not going to turn around, so Eva's going to stand there, and she's going to kind of like look over her shoulder to see who's there, and then when she sees it's Callista, she's going to like pretend like she's not noticing anything.
Oh, that's perfect.
And Suri is
can Eva in turn try to pickpocket Callista in turn?
Yes, you absolutely can do that. I love the idea of Callista thinking that she's fully got this. She's
meanwhile Eva's
just pretending to continue with her task. Suri is watching the whole thing. She's very insightful and perceptive as well, so she instantly clocks that Eva knows that Callista's there, but it's just pretending, and she kind of just like looks and quirks an eyebrow and then just like rolls her eyes and
So I'm going to use my Kenku recall to give myself advantage, and I'm recalling exactly where Callista's pockets are that I've seen in the past. So I'm giving myself advantage on this roll.
Yeah, so then Callista, having successfully, and I say that in very loose quote marks, put the shell in without even noticing, turns around, gives a little like fist pump as she's like, yes, I did it. And Suri's just like shaking her head. And then as she's turning around, Eva just turns around and...
So I'm going to roll my sleight of hand with advantage. So I get to roll it twice.
Because Callista is also quite perceptive.
So first one is 15.
Okay.
And the second one is 19.
Oh, that just beats my passive perception. I have an 18 passive perception.
You just about like, I feel like you feel there will be a slight tug of the cloak, but you're so wrapped up in your victory because you've just successfully done this thing.
Yep.
I mean, this is the bit where I just go, but did you notice Eva noticing you and pretending not to notice you? But I think at this point it just gets a bit much. So you don't notice as Eva picks your pocket. So are you taking anything in particular?
I feel like Eva would try to take the rest of the seashells.
Yeah, you managed to get a good scoop of them. Probably just because you only just beat it, I feel like you realize, I've got in a bit heavy-handed, and you panic a little bit and take a good scoop, but not all of them. Callista, a bit later on when you go for your next victim, you were pretty certain that you had an entire pocket of seashells, but now you seem to only have 3 left. Like, where did they go?
Yep, no, that tracks.
It's probably Suri, right?
Oh, it must be. I mean, it couldn't have been anyone else. Eva didn't know a thing.
Couldn't be Eva. She's not a rogue.
Later in the day, Eva is going to make Callista a necklace out of the seashells that she stole, but she'll give that to her later. Nope, the big cat froze. With her middle finger up.
I'll give her a sec. Oh, there she is.
There's too cute. She froze. Yep. Frozen by cuteness. You're back, cat. I don't know if you can hear us.
I had a moment. I could hear you, but it was very slow. And I was like, oh no.
Amazing.
Oh no, what do I do?
So what you missed is Eva, later in the night, is going to make a necklace for Callista out of the seashells that she stole.
Oh, that's really sweet. I'm so glad that you told me that. Okay, yeah, you can absolutely do that. Callista, please make a couple more rolls for me. Of sleight of hand, and I will tell you how you get on with the rest of the crewmates.
Okay. Oh, that's a natural 1. And a natural 20.
What?
Yeah.
What a roller coaster this is.
All right. Get it?
Only murders in the building.
Roll a coaster. We will. Okay, so you sneak up on this one particular crewmate. He's very involved in his task. He's actually like just fixing up. There's some rigging that's become a little bit loose, and he's just like kind of like using like tools to try to like tighten it back up again. And he you kind of go up behind him, and you think that you've got this seashell, and you think that you are just like completely not being noticed by him. And then he doesn't turn around, but he says, he kind of like, he goes, he puts his hand back behind him, and he goes, hey, can you grab me the screws from my pocket? And you go, and then you're like, okay, and then you're like, okay, pocket. So you go to put the seashell into the pocket, and then he's like, no, other pocket. And he's like trying to keep hold of this thing, and he's like, quick, and you just end up helping this man by just giving him. He obviously thinks you're someone else. Like, he hasn't turned around to see who you are, but he's very aware that you're there, and he just starts talking. Like, he's just like, yeah, I was chatting the other day, and you're like, not saying a word, and he's just happy to have this one-sided conversation. And that's your nat 1.
Can the nat 20 please? Can it be on Hector?
Yes.
I will. Yeah,
I mean, the
because
natural
it's a
20.
nat 20, and so that would apart from like Suri, that would well, Hector's quite perceptive, but I feel like he's not that perceptive. So
well, because she would have,
I will allow it to be on Hector, because it's a nat 20. I will allow you to choose.
And she,
tell me exactly what you do.
She goes up to Hector and she engages him in conversation about Thassa, which she knows, like, once he gets on his high horse about talking about Thassa, he just like goes into that mode where he's, not paying attention to anything but what he's saying. And then as he's talking, and she's like nodding and, oh yeah, and asking all the right questions, she just tries to go into his pocket and slip a shell right as he's staring right in front of her.
And with an nat 20, he's looking right at you, right into your eyes, and he doesn't notice you doing it. He's just so caught up. What I will say as well is, what you get from this conversation about Thassa is he is actually as pretentious as he is actually incredibly knowledgeable, and very he is very religious, very pious. So it comes out in a very like superior way, but certainly some of the things he says and the things he's teaching, he genuinely seems to be coming from a place where he's trying to actually impart knowledge at this point, and not like show that he knows more than you kind of thing. He's not showing off. He's genuinely trying to teach you and answer your questions, and excited that someone wants to learn. And it makes you feel a little bad for just a second, because you're like,
but Callista is genuinely interested and does genuinely want to learn about Thassa. So, I mean, she does have an ulterior motive.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yes, exactly.
She's just like, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get good at this skill, and I'm gonna learn about Thassa. This is just like a bonus for me.
Yep.
So you absolutely managed to do it. And again, you're just like, I did it. Do you go back to Suri after, or are you going to wait for her to come to you?
No, I think she would actually go off and find Kalyuka and just have to regale her with all of her tales of how great she was at picking pockets, and her trials and her triumphs, and that's how she would spend her day.
I love that. Is there anything else that you wanted to do, or is that just kind of covers the 2 days of Callista teaching herself many things, learning a lot about her fellow crewmates?
No, I mean, she's really hoping that we run into Phineas, so she keeps an eye out for anything that might give her insight into that. Actually, she might actually do an augury spell and ask for some insight on how to find him.
Ooh, you can do that. Yeah, do an augury spell, and I don't think you have to. It's not like a thing. It's just a ritual cast.
It's just a ritual. Yeah, I'll get out my pouch with all my little granite pieces of the temple and lay it out and take the 10 minutes and just focus on trying to find where in the Isles Phineas is.
All right, and obviously because it's augury, it's using kind of your pouch and everything like that, with your little shards. So you kind of prepare the spell, you get it all ready, you perform it, and as you throw them up, something quite interesting happens. Actually, something that you've never seen before. Normally, you feel the pull to catch one, and that's the one that you go for. But in this instance, for just a second, you feel that pull towards them all, and you're like, So you actually catch none of them. They just you're so kind of taken aback by this that you don't actually reach out and pluck any of them, because you're just, and they all fall, and they all are laid flat down. And then as you kind of turn them over to see what the words are, normally the shards, they have like parts of knowledge, parts of tomes, they're quotes from books, quotes from like various things, and they kind of end up aligning with the message that you're trying to do. But these ones have very, very clear, it's a very specific message that they have landed in this perfect way, and it's literally each shard has one word on it, and as you turn them over, they spell out a message, and it says, follow where the wind blows, for that is where Phineas goes.
Perfect.
And that it, like, it's very strange to you because you've never, there's almost like a sense of humor in the way that this has been portrayed to you. Like, normally it's very, you know the ritual, you know how it's going to happen, you're waiting for the pull, but this is completely different. This is completely different to how you've ever experienced this spell, and you're not really sure what's caused that.
Oh, but that's interesting. And I don't know, I think because Callista's just kind of going along, with the group. She knows that we're trying to find Lady Helene and everything, but I think with this information, she'd go to Estrella and just ask her, and I really would like to find Phineas, but I don't know if it's important for our mission. But I figured you would be the best person to ask. And I think I might know how to find him, maybe, if you think it's something we should do. Do you get any information on the patterns? I mean, okay, here's the thing. Estrella's like very clearly very scattered, because like you can see like the smoke coming out of her ears as she's trying to figure out this map. And she just goes, I mean, look, ultimately, a lot of my investment in this is personal and political, but at the same time, this is a group mission. If you think it is important to find Phineas, then we should go find Phineas. It's really not up to me. I mean, I don't know if it'll help us or not, but I mean, I think it'd be really cool. But I feel like you're kind of our leader, so oh god, I just wanted to that like actual quote from Estrella. Oh gods.
Oh god. Don't let Captain Cascade hear you say that.
Recalibrating. What are you thinking?
Robot Australia, are you okay?
I mean, I would like to talk to him personally, but I know that's maybe not as important right now as what we were sent out here to do. But I just wanted to let you know that if it comes up, or if we do think we should find him, I think I know how we might be able to find him. How do you think? Because she said, the captain said he's an oracle, right? I mean, regardless of whether he's part of our original mission, if he is as not hostile, I don't know if friendly is quite the right word without meeting him, but if he is, as Captain Cascade has said, then it sounds like we may have a dual purpose in going. One, so you can meet him, and two, so we can see if he can give us some insight into how to get to that island, whose name I forgot because I forgot to write it down.
I just need to find it in my notes.
Carapaya?
Carapaya.
Carapaya, okay. Hang on. I'm just going to write that down. I think it sounds like it may be a worthwhile investment for all of us, really.
Oh, and
I
maybe
do think you definitely would have got the sense when talking to Cascade about Phineas that she is hoping to run into him for some
Yeah.
insight. Like, he is definitely someone who's very knowledgeable, and so if anyone is going to know, obviously she's not going to ask Captain Piper because
Hey, before you kill us, can you put us to Carapaya?
hey, just asking the bird as it flies down, like, yeah, we see you. Any chance you could give us directions? Or so the only other like, she's like, oh, if we, Phineas would know. She feels like Phineas would have some insight or something interesting that would be able to better guide you to find what you're looking for.
Yeah. But I do think that for multiple reasons, seeing if we can find him would be a good call, both for the ship, for Cascade, for you, for the mission. I mean,
well, that's really good because I know exactly how to find him, and she'll tell Estrella this kind of poetic follow where the winds blow, which probably is not nearly as helpful a navigational tool as she thinks it is in her head.
No, it is. That's actually quite helpful. I guess it. And then Estrella just kind of like, you see a light bulb go off in her head, and she goes, what if it has to do with the patterns of the water? And she goes back to the map. And then just like stops herself. Okay, no, you're right. Focus. No, I think that's a really good idea. I suppose we just put something up that can more accurately track which way the wind is blowing, and kind of go from there. I wonder if we can string up some bits of cloth, and obviously it's fairly easy to catch the wind in the sails, but if the ship isn't pointed the right way, we can't exactly turn the sails backwards. But if we can just keep track of which way the wind is blowing and just follow it, if these isles are as mysterious and mystical and magical as people say they are, then I suspect you're right, and we will be brought to an answer somewhere.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think it's a good idea. I get excited sometimes and get a little carried away. I know, but it just, when I heard about him, he just sounded so interesting. And
Callista, I know you haven't spent much time outside of your temple, but every single time you have had a feeling, you have had a gut instinct, it has been correct, and more than once it has saved a lot of people. Trust it. Trust yourself.
I'm trying. I mean,
that said, your pickpocketing attempt was excellent. Let me see if I can show you how you can get behind someone a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. I would love any pointers.
Estrella would like to kind of like teach Callista not how to pickpocket, but how to sneak up behind someone to pickpocket. She wants to teach Callista the setup move.
Oh, I love this.
All right. Yeah, you can do that. And so you spend a little bit of time kind of going through it with her and explaining it to her, and as you kind of get to the end of the lesson where you're awkwardly kind of like going, that's kind of all there is to it, really. You feel like you're being watched, and you instantly track your eyes in the direction of Suri's little boat that she likes to hang around. And she's watching you very intently. And then when you finish, and at this point you're kind of just like both looking at her, and then Callista's looking awkwardly between the two of you, like, because there's definitely a vibe there. Suri just kind of sniffs and then
I'll
and then
kind of-
just
Without even looking at Suri, what I'll do is I'll take my earring out of my pocket, flash it behind my back, just like, and kind of give her a quick little raised eyebrow, and then turn away again.
all right. Okay. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to do? And as you do that, there's kind of like this low rumble of thunder in the distance. This sort of storm has been going on for a couple of days now, but it's very distant. It hasn't kind of come in your direction.
Seriously, Callista, trust yourself, okay?
Okay, I'll try. Thank you, Estrella.
Let's go find your oracle. See if we can get you a prophetic friend.
All right. And I guess that you go and speak to Cascade and say, "Hey, can we track the wind and try and follow the wind?"
I want to round up everyone else first, just so we can update them on that. If Callista's chill with that.
Oh, definitely, yep.
Just so they can know that we have a possible lead on. Estrella starts talking about like weather patterns and islands, and then just off track, and then brings it back into to Phineas.
All right. And so you kind of have this conversation, and Cascade, I guess at that point, she's a little bit like anti that suggestion. She's very she's a little like you actually, Estrella. She's very methodical. And she's very proud of the way that she like directs her ships and charts her courses and things like that. So to just be like, let's just follow the winds, she's like, no, we don't do that.
But hear me out. And I'm just like, we have been looking at this from the lens of there is a pattern and there is intentionality, and I believe that's true. But also, this is a very strange place. You've told us about many of these different islands, one of which even breaks the rules of magic a little bit. I think the rule here may be to follow the chaos.
Like a little light bulb in her eyes. She's like,
Stop fighting the current.
Now that might be something.
I hate it too. Don't get me
All right,
wrong.
we'll try it, and we'll see if we find Phineas.
Or he finds us.
And if we do, then maybe there is something in that.
Seems very empirical, but we'll take it.
She also looks like she's very excited to say to Phineas, I think that we just follow the chaos just to see if he's like, finally, or if he's like, nope. Yeah, so she gets it kind of set up. She has this kind of system set up so that you can see exactly the way the wind is blowing based on like the movements of like cloth that she kind of puts up. And then she has the men kind of to the best of the ability. Obviously, you have to make your way through because at the moment you're kind of going through these like very small islands, and the water is a bit shallower because there's not much difference between these islands. So you're starting to kind of navigate your way quite carefully through them. I'm saying it like that as if like you have like a boat that can that can move like that.
If we have multiple days, I can always start preparing control water every day and just kind of like casting it when we get into like really tight spaces just to cut off like a minute of our journey.
Yeah,
just
you're
make it a
welcome
little
to
more
do that.
efficient. It's like 100-foot cube, like 100-foot cube on a side that I can just lift a little bit.
I would say that you could definitely use control water to. Obviously, you can't fill the sea up to any noticeable difference, but you can definitely use control water to propel you through some of those tighter spots.
I can get us I can get us like lifted like just that few feet that we need to get over that sandbar, right? Like.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely, yeah, control water. You can absolutely do that. And yeah, so you start to kind of like do that. And yeah, it's a couple of days, and obviously you've all done kind of various things. And once again, I will say, for the purposes, you have a long rest, so everyone is long rested and completely has all of their abilities reset. Estrella,
Yes.
you wake one morning and you kind of go out for your, at this point maybe it's become a little bit of a habit of yours, getting up early in the morning and kind of just pacing the boat a little.
Sending my familiar out, checking the storm for progress as well.
Exactly. And you briefly stop against some railings, just to kind of survey the sea, wait for your familiar to return. And you hear like a little like behind you. And when you turn, Suri is stood there and she's holding like a sort of a mug that's got like some steaming liquid in it. And she kind of just offers it to you. She's got one of her own as well, but she doesn't say anything.
Sorry. I will take the mug and kind of glance over toward the bow of the ship as if to be like, let's get some privacy, because this is clearly going to be a conversation.
She'll follow you there. Yeah. And there's no one really around, to be honest. Obviously, there are the people that are on watch, and there are a few members
Eva
of the
would
crew.
be in the crow's nest.
Yeah, you would be able to see, like,
her
you would be
ability
able to see.
to read lips.
Absolutely, you can read lips. It's
we are facing away from the. We are facing out though.
That's what I'm saying. So what I was going to say is, you're up in the crow's nest and you're looking down on them. Both of them are looking they're not facing the crow's nest direction. They're facing out towards the water. So you would be able to see the back of their heads. It would be interesting to you, I think, that these two figures, these two characters are having a conversation. Like, this is a clear, Suri has come here with intent to chat with Estrella. It's not like they've happened to pass and gone, oh, sir, like, let's learn more about each other. Like, there's an intent in there. And I think that you would have actually noticed, being in the crow's nest and being able to survey the ship, but before Estrella came out, Suri had actually come up, like, she clearly knows Estrella's little pattern at this point. She had actually come up with these two mugs of what you can presume to be some kind of tea or coffee or something. And she had been sat at her boat waiting. And the moment that Estrella had kind of come up and started off her thing, she watched, waited, and then approached. And
I love my girl.
Suri. Interesting to you, because Suri's not that kind of, she's not engaged with anyone. It's always been people approaching her.
So all Eva's gonna do, she's gonna be interested in this, but she's just gonna sit up there and she's gonna pull out her little book and she's just gonna start like very poorly trying to like doodle them. Like, she thinks she's the greatest artist, but they're really bad little doodles, and she's just gonna watch them and doodle them in her book and let them have their moment.
I'll let them have, yeah, okay. So interesting, but maybe something to investigate further another time. And so as you kind of sit up there in the crow's nest, Estrella, you take her over to the bow of the ship and you're kind of looking out at the sea. And Suri goes, Suri says, so how did she do? Did she get it in your pocket without you noticing?
Almost. She made the mistake of not taking off her ring first. It caught on my pocket. Just a little bit.
Rookie error.
And
but she's a rookie.
Yes, and I gave her, I know you saw a few pointers on a bit of the setup beforehand, because it's not quite as efficient when you walk up to someone from the front.
Yeah,
is it tea or coffee,
definitely can. No, I mean, she did
surprisingly
pickpocket
well.
Hector.
Oh,
Right,
sure,
she was looking right at him. I think Callista sometimes needs to use her charming, sweet personality. People will be completely bamboozled by it and not really think about the fact that she could be robbing them.
It serves her well. She would make an excellent Well, one of us.
And she seems a bit uncomfortable as you say that. Like she's very like you're clearly trying to like offer hands of friendship, and she's very like she's not necessarily receptive to that. She's trying to like suss you out a little bit. And she says, so I've been thinking about what you said. You know, now you've given me a bit of time to actually think. And she says, I chatted with Callista. Your friends don't really know much about you, do they?
About as much as you can know about someone from what we've done together. She kind of like holds up the earring again. This isn't necessarily something that I advertise.
Understandably. Though, that said, you did advertise it to me.
A lot of what happened that day, part of did anyone tell you what happened?
What are you talking about?
Okay.
Are you talking like are you talking about the singing?
Yes.
Fish and okay, fish. That's really rude. I just said that. People. Yeah. I've been informed. I was under some kind of. I bit a lot of people. That's what I've been told.
They survived. They were having trouble making sure that you didn't jump in. And there was a lot going on. I did what I felt I had to free up the crew members to help others. But in so doing, created an effect that I know I would not have been particularly fond of myself. And I didn't know how else to show you that and make it not seem like I was posturing or talking down to you. Because I hate that too.
Yeah, all right, I get that.
It's not something it's not something I advertise on a regular basis, but I saw, and she kind of nods at the armband. And I was a little surprised to see really anyone from our turf, either of our turfs, out here. We don't tend to come out here, but I figured it may have been a common thread that I could use to set your mind at ease a bit.
So, yeah, I've been thinking about that because your friends don't know much about you, but you're so willing to tell me when you don't even know me. And I'm a piranha. I ain't no shark like you.
I'm not a shark either, not anymore.
Well, I'm still a piranha.
Perhaps, but here you are crew.
It made me think about why
What?
you would want to talk to me, why you would want to share anything with me. Because if you haven't even told your friends, then you're trying to keep it a secret. And so why are you keeping it a secret? If you're so happy to just announce it to anyone who might even share remotely your experiences.
I'm not happy to announce it. I have questions.
Yeah, that's what I figured. You want information. Maybe an update. Little catch up. How have things been going? Is that it?
guilty.
Right, well, now we've got past the bullshit.
I love this girl.
Who's in charge of the sharks? And she looks at you as you say that.
Last I heard, it was someone who went by Gunner.
Oh. That was quite some time ago.
And now?
Gunner's gone.
Gone
Nesta
dead?
leads the sharks now.
That's the actual face she makes. Gone dead, gone away, gone what?
No one knows. That's the weird thing. You were living in Miletus a little bit, weren't you? You studied at that Ponzi school.
Yes. I signed on with them 8.5 years back.
Wow. That's a long time ago. So I guess you'd have seen, even if you weren't asking after us specifically, that things got worse.
Yeah, about, 6 months? When did Nestor take over?
About 6 months. Do you know why?
No, but I suspect you're going to tell me.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm fucking you. Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
I love this bitch so much.
Things between the piranhas and the sharks were never great. But Gunnar and Marie, they had an agreement. They had an understanding of sorts. But one day, one of the sharks was found dead in our waters. And, well, Gunnar and Marie might have had an agreement, but Nestor never liked us. He hated us. He would always say so whenever we had our catch-ups. And she kind of gestures to kind of how, like, you two are catching up right now. So, of course, he blamed us, didn't he? He was furious. Whoever this shark was, she must have been special.
I'm gonna roll a deception check to not give anything away but my very expressive face. To not look incredibly fucking guilty.
I'll warn you, she's insightful.
Well, that's not great because that's a 4.
So you know Nestor then. She's looking at you, she's watching you, she said it, she's like, so you know Nestor then.
I do.
You probably know his temper.
I do.
Well, word is he wanted to start a war. Gunnar wouldn't have it for a while. But bodies kept turning up. Behind the scenes, things were happening. Tensions were rising. And if you must know, my sister was one of the victims.
Oh, no, I feel bad.
So I'm not his biggest fan. Then one day, word on the street is Gunnar's gone. But no one knows what happened to Gunnar. Gunnar's just gone. Nestor's in charge now. And it was just war. People died, civilians got hurt. It spread everywhere. Even the Ponces up in the school that you were studying at were talking about it.
Yes, I know, I remember.
And it's not really got any better since then.
8 years, really?
And
8 years?
It's just constant onslaught. You know, peaks and troughs, but ultimately the sharks and the piranhas are at war.
She looks so guilty. With her deception of 4. She looks so guilty. Oh wait, no, it wasn't a 4, it was
Recently,
a 7, but it's
though,
still tiny.
And the reason, she kind of looks at you and she goes, the reason why I'm here and not with my piranhas fighting as I should be.
That was my next question.
Well, of course it was. My brother got me out. He knew Jericho through some other work that Jericho does. And Jericho knew Cascade, and it all kind of happened, I suppose. And I thought, when you showed me that you were a shark, I thought you were here to, I don't know, come after me or something. But nah, you're a Ponce now.
Straight looks a little bit insulted by that one. Your brother sounds like a good brother.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about him anymore. But he did it because things... Look, if you've not been keeping up, then you won't have heard of the cuttlefish.
A new player? I've been out of town
Like there's
for
this,
a
and
while.
there's like this rumble of thunder as the words cuttlefish is said.
Of course there is. So ominous. I love it. New player in town?
And you could say that. They've always been around, or at least in the last few years, but word is now that Nestor's working with them. And the cuttlefish are a bit different. They're a smaller group, but they're like they're like the bogeyman, really. People disappear. They say they can do magic.
She laughs at that one. Just like a really harsh, bitter laugh that even Eva might even hear.
Look, I know you can do it at the blink of an eye, but not
No.
everyone can, right?
No, I'm not. That's not why. He's working
And
with
this, like,
mages.
continuing like thunderstorm continues to rumble, and this sort of flash of lightning. And Eva, this would definitely, this thunderstorm actually is kind of coming on quite strong now, and seems a little bit closer. It's even some of the crew members are a bit like, oh, kind of thing as begins to come in.
Nesta's working with mages now.
Not mages as such, they just have talents that they... I don't know how to describe it, but they're terrifying, all right? People disappear. People are actually dying. It's not funny.
No, it's not that. He fucking hates mages. Always said they were
Mr.
a
hates a lot of people. Look, I'm telling you this because you wanted to know. If you're just going to laugh at me...
Look. We have a rocky history. As you might imagine. She kind of like brings up like her dancing lights in her hand. Him and learned magic don't go well together. She kind of closes the dancing lights again. That was not something I was expecting. Do you know why he's working with them?
To get an edge over us, I guess. That's why my brother wanted me out of harm's way. So I agreed to go on this stupid trip. And the only payment that I needed to give was to teach some Triton how to pick pockets. And I thought it would be easy, but turns out it's going to be a bit harder than I thought it was. But that's all right. I like a challenge. And then she kind of stops and she looks in the distance and her brow furrows a little bit. And she says, "Is that you doing that?"
What? No.
And
I kind of look in the distance.
And at this point, Eva, you would definitely have your eyes very fully locked onto this, because you'll have noticed that the wind is picking up around you a little bit. There's this kind of storm going, and Australia, like, you are very, storms are your thing. I think I'm having some issues. Just bear with us, everyone. We're just going to cut to a very brief break, and then we're going to come back. All right. Shouldn't be more than a few minutes.
We'll be back in a sec.
All right. I'm just having some technical issues. Bye.
We're back. Let's try this again.
Hey everyone, sorry about that. Just had some minor technical issues my end. Well, I mean, it's kind of wrapping up anyway. But yeah, so you kind of look into the distance and you can see this kind of undercloud, and you can feel there is a sense of like the wind is kind of picking up, and being kind of in tune with storms and everything, you've been kind of ignoring it because you're used to the sound of thunder and you're used to seeing lightning, and it doesn't really bother you in the same way. But Eva, as you've been sitting up on the crow's nest and you've been kind of observing and doodling and looking up, the thunder has gotten louder, and it's really quite odd how quickly this storm is coming in. It was so quiet before, and you've been hearing distant rumbles of thunder, but nothing that seemed like it was anywhere near the boat.
And now it's like on top of us.
And now it's like it's coming, and it's coming quite quickly. And you look around, the wind is kind of picking up a little bit. But what alerts you to there being something really odd, and this is kind of then noticed by you one by one, is the waves are still. When you have a storm at sea, normally they kind of start to pick up, and that kind of comes in. But the water seems calm still. It's just this kind of sense of wind and this sound, and you can see distant lightning. At that point, Cascade comes out and says, are we in a storm? What's going on? And one of the crew members, the very obvious, like, grizzled veteran crew member who's been sailing for 60 years and will probably die out on the water, he kind of looks in the distance, and his eyes widen with terror, and he says, "Gods above, it's Kahara. We're in Kahara's territory."
It's what?
Kahara.
And at that moment, there's this immense flash of lightning that just fills the sky. But it's not lightning that is a sheet. It is in the shape of this gigantic bird. It's gargantuan. You have never seen anything like it, and the way that each feather is just its own little lightning strike, it's just this, it's beautiful and it's terrifying. It fills the entire horizon, and it lets out this audible screech, followed by this gigantic roll of thunder, and the crew begin yelling, and we have to show, we have to run, we have to and then Cascade says, she's too quick, there's no running, brace, and begins to order them to stand their ground. Whatever this thing is, it's terrifying the crew, it's terrifying everyone, because the moment that Kahara's name is mentioned, Cascade realizes, I know where we are.
Fuck
And with
town.
that,
No, wait.
wait, what are you gonna do? Go on, I'll let you.
As oh damn, zapped. Yep. As all this is happening, I kind of lean back into Suri, who is I assume preparing to like go do something.
She's getting
Yeah.
She's getting ready. Like Cascade has already shouted at her, like
like at below deck, all that stuff.
Get in the boat, like I don't want to see you out here. Like,
Estrella will just kind of like look at her and just go, wait.
What?
The person they found in your waters, do you know who it was?
Is now the time? And then she kind of stops and she goes, no, I've no fucking clue, but whoever she was, it pissed Nestor off. And then she scarpers before you can.
Terrifying. Thanks. Giant bird. Love it. Giant lightning bird. Amazing. Fantastic.
And it is immense. You've never seen anything of its scale and size. And with that, we will end the session. And we will go around. Doesn't even have to be briefly. We're a little bit. Yeah, we'll do it all.
We can take our sweet time.
Yeah, we're on time. That's lovely. We will go around. Everyone introduce yourselves. Tell us about your exciting projects, things that you're doing, where we can find you. Oh damn, Zapdos. Yeah, that's the vibe. Yeah, that's definitely the vibe. Yeah, we will go around one by one. Let's start with. Let's go with Lulu first. I'm gonna go backwards.
I wasn't expecting that. Hi, I'm Lulu. I have been playing Callista, the part Triton cleric, who is way too excited to be out on sea and learning to pick pockets. This is the only thing she's trying. This is the only thing I'm streaming at the moment, and when I'm not doing this, I try to make art out of my minis and my train, and I've also been obsessed lately with photographing the little Lego minifigures, because I don't have to paint them. I can just take them out and photograph them, and that's been really fun too. But you can find me mostly on Twitter at LuluNWA.
I love that. And I think that you actually recently finished the Durkle Wave Runner, which we're very excited. Maybe we can briefly show that next session. But yeah, very excited, and always love to see your little like miniatures and figures and stuff. I love it. Let's go with Lindsay next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay. I am playing Eva, the Kenku Ranger, who now has a new friend that she wants to go make up in the sky. My big bird friend, big thunder friend. When I'm not playing on here, currently what takes up most of my time is some cosplay projects I have on the go. So you can find me on Chunky Chickadee, with the last E being a 1, as I start to post a little bit more about what I'm working on and doing in the cosplay world. I'm also spending my nights staying up way too long watching anime again, because I run an anime store as well, so I got to be versed in the things the kids are talking about these days.
The things the kids are talking about.
With the Narutos and the Pokemans.
The what?
My Pokemans.
Pokemans!
Don't let her say it
Show me
again.
them.
Don't let her say it again, please.
Pokemans.
Pokemon's gotta catch you. Okay. Let's go with Kumi next. Hey, Kumi, how you doing? It looks hot where you are.
Oh my God, it's so hot here. Like it's unbelievable. I really feel I really feel the summer coming while I'm coming onto stream. Even yesterday, had a stream till 1 a.m. and oh God, sweating buckets. But hey, it's hot in India. Hi everyone. I'm Kumi. I run a small D&D store here, and I have a couple of fun things happening on the Pigeon Killers. We have a new all women little mini campaign happening there on Thursdays now, so really excited for that. I'm going to be playing a rogue because hey, what better way to say no to magic than be like, let's play a little more martial classes. So really testing with all the skill checks and no magic in that one. Yesterday I had a shit ton of magic with this magical girls school one shot that we played. That was fantastic. Over the course of 4 hours, we went through like 3 levels. So like at level 1, 5, and 10 to really have that magical girl Sailor Moon experience. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's from me. You can find me at Kumi Curiosities.
Hey. Next up, Joan.
Hi, I'm Joan. You can find me on the socials as the Rogue Senna. I got actually kind of a big week coming up this week. On Tuesday, I'm gonna live tweet the D&D Direct like I did last year.
Oh.
On Friday night, I'm going to see the movie with my hubby and our friends, and I will probably either record my thoughts afterwards or tweet about it afterwards. On Sunday, unfortunately, we're going to be dark here, but I will be traveling to Washington to go to the Wizards Content Creator Summit on Monday. So if you have questions about 1D&D or the virtual tabletop, that's what we've been told it's going to focus on. So hit me up on social media and ask me your questions, and I will ask them at the Content Creator Summit, and I will probably be tweeting the whole time because I am addicted to that shit since 2008. Yeah. So follow me on social media. I love you guys. Okay, bye.
All right. And last but certainly not least, I get to say that about Jen this time and not Lulu. Two mages on each side. That's cute. Let's go. Let's go, Jen. How you feeling today? Who are you?
Hello, hi. I am theoretically Jen. It's entirely possible that I'm not, but if I'm not, then no one's told me yet. Anyway, hi, I'm Jen. I can be found on Twitter at JenBurb. I have been your lovely half-elven wizard Estrella. Girls Around These Worlds is most of what I tend to do nowadays. That's pretty much me.
Hey. All right, well that leaves me. I am Kat. I have been your dungeon master this afternoon / evening / morning / night / whatever it is, wherever you are. I often am found, I'm always found at LawMistress93 on Twitter. You can also find me streaming here, and every couple of weeks I stream over on VA Redemption's channel, playing Call of Cthulhu. Our next stream is gonna be, I feel like it's the Thursday coming. Yeah, it is. Oh Christ. Okay. The other exciting thing that's happening with me this week, and the reason why I kind of gone quiet other than that, is I am moving. So I'm very excited. I'm very stressed out. I've actually got I'm kind of glad that the session is ending now, because I can feel a migraine. I'm like, no, another hour and I will just be like a mess. So I guess good timing that it's happening now, and not at the beginning of the stream. But other than that, I write. I've recently revamped my website with all of my new branding things. So you can go and find me at www.thelawmistress.co.uk and check out. I haven't written any articles for a while because I've been so focused on streaming and doing other things, but I definitely want to go back and start doing that again, because I find that really fun. What else? I feel like that's it. I just what I will say is here on Girls Run These Worlds, we have some exciting stuff coming up. First of all, the fun finale episode of Alien was on Friday. It was absolutely excellent. Literally, like, such a talented cast. I cannot even and oh look, one of the cast members is in the chat right now and has specifically asked me not to perceive them, so go to Darcy. Anyway, and darling Darcington. But yes, it was just incredible, and I really highly encourage you, if you're going to go onto the Girls Run These Worlds YouTube, which you should be, because all of our VODs and everything are uploaded on there for everyone to watch. Please go and check out, when you're not watching Theros, check out the Alien limited series, because it was fucking phenomenal. Like, the storytelling, if you're a fan of the franchise, but even if you're not, it was just an amazing sci-fi horror, so you should absolutely check that out and watch all those really talented beings be a part of that. And we also are casting currently for I'm just going to, I want to get the title of the thing up. Witches and Spellcraft. It is it's going to be run by Mer, or Archmage of Dice, and it's really exciting, and I wish I was in the right time zone to apply for this. I am not, but definitely check out the Girls Run Worlds Twitter, and you can get all the information about casting there, and just keep an eye out, because we've got some really exciting shows coming up. And if you have an idea, please pitch it to us. The creator app is the pinned tweet. I believe it's still the pinned tweet on the Girls Run Worlds Twitter. So if you have an idea and you're like, oh, I want to do what Kat's doing right now and getting really stressed out, it's not because of it, that's just because of life. But if I want to do that, and I want to tell my story, because actually my story is way better than Kat's, then please feel free to pitch your idea, and I can't wait to see it being on the show, or on the channel. That being said, we're going to be raiding now Mendari, who is also, by the looks of it, playing some Dungeons and Dragons also. So we like a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. So please stick around. We will go raid there and say hello, and show our lovely smiling faces. We are going dark next week, I believe. So that is going to be from so the April the 2nd, Sunday the April the 2nd, there isn't going to be a session, if I'm right. Yes, I'm right. Which will be, and that week will be from the 2nd to the 8th. There will be no shows over the course of that entire week. So we are not going to see you next Sunday. But we will be seeing you the Sunday after, which consequently I believe is Easter Sunday, if I'm remembering correctly. My poor parents, they were like, oh, you're gonna come round and have a roast, and I was like, I think I'm streaming. But yeah, so we will be doing that. So not gonna see you next week. See you the week after.
Make them bring the
2
roast
weeks
to
to
you.
prep this combat. Huh?
Make them bring the roast to you.
Oh, I will. I'm going to get them to bring it up on a tray, and I'll just be eating it while trying to describe combat. It's going to be great. All right. Cheerio, everyone. No, not cheerio again. Bye.